Hi, everyone. Good morning. It's 5:15 on the start of a Thursday. We should talk about the quality of apartments in the city of Buffalo and the rent
Right.
when it comes to how much you're actually paying.
Because that is a big question, right? You see some apartments that are relatively expensive and, maybe they've been, redone, they've had a lot of work done to them. Then you see others that might be a little bit less, but you're paying for a little bit less there.
All of this because Buffalo is the most affordable city for minimum wage renters. But I
Renters.
love what that one woman said. But what about the quality of the
Mhm.
apartment? So important to weigh that option as well. We're going to talk about this. Want to hear your thoughts, share your voice. But first, let's join in with our TV viewers. Stand by for us.
Hi, good morning to you. It's 5:15. Glad to have you with us on a Thursday morning as we talk about rent in Buffalo. A new study showing that Buffalo is the most affordable for renters in when we compare to other major cities. But the question then becomes, what are we paying for when it comes to that affordability?
And it's a very specific group of renters as well. It's those minimum wage renters. So if you're making $15, $20 an hour
Like,
at a minimum wage
you
job,
can find an apartment.
correct. But what is the quality of that apartment? And that's the one thing that this one task force in Buffalo is really pushing to show. Like, there is a disconnect
Yeah.
between what you're paying and what you're getting.
Well, and let's be very clear. Like, we've lived here for a long time. We have seen rent prices increase.
Oh, exponentially.
And I think then the question is, even if landlords have an apartment that maybe they haven't done that work to, like for some, yeah, you did the work, increase the rent, absolutely. But are you just riding that wave kind of? I wonder when it comes to, I really haven't done the work. Now I'm going to bump up the rent a little because that's what I'm seeing other places.
Well, so let's talk about this. If you're a renter in Buffalo or beyond, what are you paying? Does it affect your bottom line? Because realistically, if you're paying more than a certain percentage, you're considered
Yeah.
rent burdened.
And do you think you should be getting more
Right.
for what you pay?
More bang for your buck.
Yeah.
Okay, so grab your phone, join the conversation. We'd love to chat with you about this and share your voice. But first, a look at some of today's top stories.
So a big announcement on the future of Buffalo's theater district. Amherst-based company Musical Fair is moving into Shays 710 Theater in Buffalo. The company's lease set to expire in May at Damon University. Musical Fair already performed 100 shows at 710 Theater, bringing some 30,000 guests downtown. The company signing a 10-year agreement with Shays, where both will share the costs and reviews from production.
The Sabres are back in action tonight at the KeyBank Center. We're still waiting to find out if center Tage Thompson will be suiting up after he left Monday's game with a lower body injury. He's listed as day-to-day. If Thompson is out, it's a big loss for the Sabres. He's got 11 goals in 16 games this season and is riding a 4-game goal streak. Sabres defenseman Mattias Samuelsson also left Monday with a lower body injury. He'll be out more long-term. Puck drop tonight at 7:30.
All right, we've got a lot of people who are weighing in on rent and what you're getting or not getting when it comes to the city of Buffalo. Now, again, we're talking about minimum wage renters, so people who make minimum wage who are renting a place in Buffalo. Mary says maybe not minimum wage and not quite in Buffalo, but Kenton schools, they can't move. They have 2 kids, rent's expensive, very small, 2 bedrooms. Lori says rent is unbelievable here for what you get.
Okay, so Grace, kind of to the point that the task force co-chair was making a little while ago, not for single moms, she says, and if they can't afford it, it's a dump of a place, because we were talking about rent being on average in Buffalo about $1,000 a month, but the quality of the apartment doesn't fit the price. So you're not getting a lot of bang for your buck. And as Grace is saying, it's a dump of a place. Jacqueline says the rent prices are crazy these days. My mortgage for a house is cheaper than a 1-bedroom apartment.
Let me pull up Vet's comment because she says, good morning. I live in HUD housing and we pay according to income,
Interesting.
thankfully.
So experts say no one should be spending more than 39% of your salary on rent. So if you're paying 39 or above 30,
no more than 30%, they're saying?
You are considered rent burdened. What does that mean? You are having a hard time making ends meet, perhaps more so than others who are paying a mortgage or paying, there's a 2-income household, whatever it is. There are a lot of people who are struggling.
Right. And I got to say, too, when I think about it, I remember, back when I was single, I lived with friends for a while, split the rent. That absolutely helped. But then when I had my own place, it was, you're paying for maybe something a little bit smaller, but you're still paying for the majority of what somebody with 2 incomes would be paying.
Absolutely.
It was
You've
a lot
got
harder
bills,
as a
right.
single person.
Groceries. Mark says, I'd rather have a house than renting. Grace says, most people are living paycheck to paycheck. Absolutely. And then Energy Radio Buffalo, it's true. There are a lot of slum landlords that don't care about repairing issues. And if you take care of it, you don't get reimbursed.
Yeah.
And that's a problem for a lot of people.
Here's something that Lori's bringing up that I think we should also talk about, that a lot of landlords want application fees
Right.
before you even look at the apartment. So now you're spending ahead of time and you haven't even stepped foot inside it.
And to your point, can we talk about it on Twitter saying, hello, a lot of homeowners did nothing to update these apartments
Right.
and they want top dollar. So again, bang for your buck, but
Yeah.
they're just simply riding the wave because we see the market just increasing when it comes to rent.
And Denise says friends of mine are renting because their rent is so high they can't save that money to put a down payment on a house.
And isn't that crazy? I mean, you can really honestly pay less in a mortgage than you can for rent in some places. Though, again, it's location, location, location. So if you're in a hot spot,
Yeah.
chances are you're going to be paying a little bit more than what you would be paying if you're in, a different part of the
And
city.
truthfully, can we talk about it? I'm a nosy person by nature. So when people post like an apartment on Facebook up for rent, I want to get a look at what it looks like and how much, like just a concept of what things are going for these days. So I love clicking through the pictures of an apartment that's up for rent. And I'll notice a lot of the comments say that kitchen's not redone or
Right.
like that bathroom hasn't been touched in decades, which I don't think is the complaint. I think the complaint is the rent doesn't match that. Like
Correct.
if I'm paying that much, I want to have seen a kitchen updone.
Or certain amenities like having laundry in the unit
Right.
or having a dishwasher, something along those lines that takes a little bit of the work off of you,
Yes.
right? And a little bit more of the cost
If
off
you're
of you.
paying that premium and you feel like you're paying this premium rent, you want those premium amenities.
I love hearing your voice and sharing your thoughts on this. It's super important that we have this conversation. Let's have this conversation continue this morning at 8 o'clock on Second Cup. Aaron's going to be tracking your 7 weather forecast after this. It's 5:22. You're watching Good Morning Buffalo.